People aren't leaving these states loudly. There are no farewell parties, no dramatic announcements. They leave quietly, one moving truck at a time, one for sale sign after another, until suddenly an entire neighborhood feels emptier than it used to. And when officials finally admit what's happening, it's already too late. This isn't a trend, it's a warning. Because right now, millions of Americans are turning their backs on places that were once considered untouchable, and the reasons why are far more unsettling than most people realize. At first, the numbers didn't seem alarming. A few thousand people here, a few hundred there. But then the exits accelerated. Families packed up after realizing their salaries no longer matched their rent. Retirees left after property taxes doubled. Young professionals walked away from cities they once dreamed of living in because surviving there had become a full-time job. This is the mass exit, and it's reshaping America in real time. California is the most obvious example, but also the most misunderstood. People love to blame politics, but the truth is simpler and harsher. The cost of living broke the deal. When a middle-class income can't secure a middle-class life, people leave. Teachers, nurses, firefighters, the backbone of society, realized they could sell their homes and buy twice as much house somewhere else. Crime didn't help, neither did taxes. But the real breaking point was psychological. People felt like they were running just to stay in place, so they stopped running, and they left. New York followed the same path, just faster. Once the heartbeat of ambition, it became a pressure cooker. Rents climbed, space shrank, quality of life slipped. When remote work cracked open the door, millions walked through it. Why endure overcrowded subways, rising crime fears, and crushing expenses when the same paycheck could stretch twice as far as somewhere quieter, safer, and calmer? The city didn't collapse, it hollowed out. Illinois didn't scream crisis either, it whispered it. Decades of fiscal mismanagement, rising taxes, and uncertainty pushed residents into neighboring states. Chicago still looks powerful from the outside, but behind the skyline is a slow bleed. When businesses hesitate to invest and families hesitate to stay, momentum disappears. And once momentum is gone, recovery becomes almost impossible. New Jersey suffers from a different problem: proximity without payoff. High property taxes, expensive housing, and limited breathing room have made many residents ask a brutal question: what am I actually paying for? When the answer stops being clear, loyalty fades quickly. Massachusetts showcases another version of the same story. World-class education, world-class healthcare, but a cost of living that quietly pushes out the very graduates it produces. Students arrive, professionals train, families leave. It's not dramatic, it's transactional. Then there's the Pacific Northwest. Oregon and Washington were once magnets for dreamers. Today, many residents feel trapped between rising crime, visible drug crises, and a sense that basic order is slipping away. When people stop feeling safe in their own neighborhoods, ideology doesn't matter anymore. Instinct takes over. Louisiana faces a different enemy: instability. Natural disasters, insurance spikes, infrastructure decay. Living there feels like placing a long-term bet against the odds, and eventually, people cash out. Mississippi and West Virginia tell a quieter but more painful story. It's not that people don't love these places, it's that opportunity left first. Jobs vanished, young people followed. What remains is loyalty without leverage. Alaska surprises many people. It's beautiful, it's vast, and it's exhausting. Isolation, high costs, limited access. After the novelty fades, reality sets in. Many who go there eventually come back. Even Hawaii isn't immune. Paradise becomes a cage when locals can't afford to live where they were born. When groceries, rent, and fuel rise faster than wages, culture erodes. The land stays, the people leave. What ties all 14 states together isn't politics or weather or culture, it's imbalance. People feel like they're giving more than they're getting back, and once that feeling settles in, it spreads fast.
America is quietly reorganizing itself. States people fled to for decades are now being abandoned. States once ignored are becoming magnets. This shift isn't about ideology, it's about survival, dignity, and control over one's future. The most unsettling part? This movement is accelerating, not slowing. And if current trends continue, today's safe states could be tomorrow's exit zones. The real question isn't why people are leaving. It's why anyone is still surprised.
And what makes this exodus even more disturbing is how normal it's become. Moving used to mean a new job, a new chapter, a leap of faith. Now it's defensive, it's strategic. People aren't chasing opportunity anymore, they're escaping pressure. Pressure from rising costs, from uncertainty, from systems that feel increasingly indifferent to the people keeping them alive. What rarely gets mentioned is the emotional toll. Leaving a state isn't just changing an address, it's abandoning routines, memories, identities. People stay longer than they should because leaving feels like failure. But eventually, reality overrides pride. When parents realize their kids won't be able to afford to live anywhere near them, when retirees discover their fixed income is shrinking in real time, when workers understand that no raise will ever catch up, that's when the exit happens. Housing is the silent trigger in almost every case. Once prices detach from wages, everything else collapses. Commutes get longer, stress gets heavier, crime feels closer. Communities weaken because neighbors rotate too fast to bond. In many of these states, entire zip codes have transformed from stable neighborhoods into temporary holding zones. People don't plant roots where they don't feel secure. Then there's taxation, not just how much people pay, but what they feel they get in return. Roads crumble, schools struggle, emergency services stretch thin. When residents feel like their money vanishes into a system they can't see or trust, resentment grows quietly. And resentment doesn't protest, it relocates. Public safety plays a larger role than officials admit. Even the perception of danger is enough to push people out. Parents don't analyze crime reports, they react to fear. When stores close early, when sirens become background noise, when public spaces feel tense instead of welcoming, families start planning their exit long before they admit it out loud. Remote work poured gasoline on an already burning fire. For the first time, geography stopped being mandatory, and once people realized they could keep their income while changing their environment, loyalty evaporated overnight. Why tolerate congestion, decay, and constant financial anxiety when calmer alternatives exist? The states losing population often respond too slowly, or not at all. They assume people will adapt. They assume prestige will hold. But prestige doesn't pay rent. Reputation doesn't fix infrastructure. And history shows that once population decline starts, reversing it is brutally difficult. What's happening now mirrors past collapses, just quieter. Cities don't fall apart in explosions, they thin out. Businesses follow people, services scale back, budgets tighten, then taxes rise to compensate, pushing even more residents away. It's a feedback loop, and several states are already trapped inside it. Meanwhile, receiving states feel the opposite pressure. Influx brings growth, but also strain. Housing tightens, prices rise, traffic worsens, and the same cycle threatens to repeat. Today's refuge can become tomorrow's pressure cooker if leadership mistakes growth for immunity. What most people don't realize is that this migration is redefining political power, economic influence, and cultural gravity. Congressional seats shift, labor markets realign, entire industries move. This isn't just people changing where they live, it's the redistribution of national weight. And yet, through all of this, the messaging remains strangely optimistic. Officials highlight tourism, real estate ads show sunsets and skylines, but behind the imagery is a quieter truth.
The people who built these places are leaving them, not because they want to, because they have to. The mass exit isn't driven by ideology, it's driven by math. When the equation stops working, sentiment doesn't matter, pride doesn't matter, tradition doesn't matter. Only sustainability does. And sustainability for millions of Americans no longer exists in these 14 states. What happens next isn't sudden collapse, it's slow exposure. The longer these trends are ignored, the harder they'll be to reverse. Because once a generation leaves, it rarely comes back. And once a state loses momentum, it doesn't announce it, it just fades. The real danger isn't that people are leaving, it's that they've stopped believing staying will ever make sense again.